The invite.
Well, the other big story tonight, the severe drought in California. Just 24 hours after Governor Gerri Brown imposed statewide water restrictions, folks in California are putting the blame for the crisis squarely on politicians from Sacramento to Washington. With us now, California State Assembly Republican leader Kristin Olsen, who represents Modesto, and Mark Standriff, spokesman for the city of Fresno. Welcome to you both. Great to have you here. I look at these headlines and I think, goodness gracious, how far down the road have we gone? Kristin, I want to start with you for a second here. You have told the governor to his face that what he's done is wrong. What are you so upset about?
You know, part of the problem is we're certainly suffering in California from a lack of rain and snowfall, but the serious drought that we're in today is also due to decades of policies from the federal and state government that have prioritized fish over people. We've had food bank lines triple in California, especially in the Central Valley, because of these bad policies. And at some point, our state water agencies have to wake up, our federal agencies have to wake up and start prioritizing human lives and getting water to people who so desperately need it.
Mark, let's talk about the impact in Fresno. You say it's been hard hit. What's going on?
Well, you know, actually, Fresno is very fortunate in the fact that we've been the leader in water conservation now for over 20 years. We've had a 2-day-a-week watering system in since last year. We've reduced our consumption over 27% over the last 5 years. But our problem isn't so much the water itself, but the infrastructure. And it's the same thing that's happening statewide. You know, 40 years ago, when we had the last big drought here in the Central Valley, we decided to stop thinking about groundwater and maybe getting access to mountain water that was coming down to use to treat and to be able to put that into the system. But unfortunately, we kept kicking the can down the road, even to the point where we actually had a plan to build a surface water treatment plant that never got done until just this past February. And so the problem that we have is that it's not so much water as its infrastructure. And if we built those plants 20 years ago...
Let's get back to Kristin for just a second here. So,
Sure.
You know, we've seen Congressman Kevin McCarthy from California. He's talked a lot about the lack of reinvestment, which is what I think Mark's talking about here. But Kristin, to you, he said he's called on Congress to build water facilities, storage facilities, which is what I think you're interested in. And he says that Democrats oppose him because they think that building these things will cause global warming. What do you say to that?
You know, we have got to get these projects out of government red tape. They've been hanging there for decades. Water storage projects, desalination projects, water recycling projects, projects that we know will increase water supply that's desperately needed in California. And now one of the things I'm pleased about in the governor's order is finally agreeing with us and saying we have to get them out of red tape, we have to get them into construction. It's long past time to expedite.
But what do you say about the political spin on this, Kristin? Because what people are saying, and you know, I saw this in the New York Times today, is that you know it's all about global warming. California's a victim of global warming, and if we try to do anything about it, if we try to build any facilities, it'll just exacerbate that problem.
You know, the good news is I think that story, that narrative, is changing in California because nobody is denying the fact that we are in a very serious drought situation, and we have to be able to increase water supply in order to address it. So voters passed a water bond last year. The financing is now there, and we've got to get rid of this government red tape that's holding it all up.
Mark, to you, I used to live in California, and I was shocked at the amount of produce. Everything from oranges to corn to beans, tomatoes, you name it. It all comes out of California. So when you guys suffer, all of America suffers. Our prices all go up. The impact is huge, is it not?
Well, and when you've got a $7 billion industry that's directly related to how much water it can use, yeah, absolutely. We're all concerned about that. And that's why, for our standpoint, we think that everybody, not just around here in Fresno, but around the state, should be looking into the opportunity to build the infrastructure that we need to have the storage so that and whether it's replenishing our groundwater supply or having surface water in storage, these are all things that every community has to take a good hard look at because we can't count on Mother Nature.
Okay, Kristin, to you, because here's something I don't understand. These are 25% water restrictions, but on people who are using the local facilities. From what I understand, there are private networks that the big farms use. Is it just consumers? Is it just regular people with yards who are watering their yards who are getting impacted here? Who's getting impacted?
Actually, all Californians statewide are being impacted. This is a statewide problem, and all Californians, we all have to do our part to conserve and be part of the solution. agriculture has already taken a $2 billion economic hit due to the drought. Over 17,000 people in agriculture out of work. We've fallowed nearly 500,000 acres of land. So it's affecting all businesses, all industries, all communities, and we all have to work together to be part of the solution.
You know, one of the eye-popping visuals on this is a picture of Lake Oroville before and after, before the drought and after the drought. And if we can get that up, that's amazing. Take a look at this. That's how big this is. That's how important this is. Congressman Kevin McCarthy, that I mentioned before, the House Majority Leader, saying Sacramento and Washington have chosen to put the well-being of fish above the well-being of people by refusing to capture millions of acre-feet of water during wet years for use during dry years. It seems like the solution is pretty simple, although I bet it's not inexpensive. Kristin and Mark, thanks for coming and bringing us the story.
Thanks, Gerri.
Thank you, Gerri.
And